Hello, Hampton Roads. I am Jennifer Stimson. I work at RE/MAX Alliance on the Steve Dahl team. And today I have asked Lisa Wynkoop of Atlantic Bay to come back and answer some more questions for us today. So Lisa, again, thank you so much for coming in to help us.
My pleasure. I'm happy to be here.
So Lisa, today we want to target a very specific, we're talking specifically for those that have never bought a home before.
Right.
So all of the questions that we are going to be discussing today are for our first-time home buyers. So let's start at the beginning. We know they need to contact a lender such as you, and again, we'll share your info at the end. But how can they find out if they do indeed qualify for a loan?
So as you know, it's a great time to buy, and we are turning lots of renters into buyers. So
yes.
it's still a great time, even with all of the trials and things we're going through. It's a great time for first-time buyers. We still have a ton of grant programs out there. We have 0 down payment options. The first step that a buyer needs to attack basically is just, do they qualify? And they need to contact a senior mortgage banker, someone with experience working with home buyers and first-time buyers especially.
Yes.
Walk them through the process. There's a lot that needs to be covered.
All right, and what are some of the materials and the items that you're going to ask them to kind of turn into you so that you can figure out exactly what they are approved for?
So the first step is to talk about, basically their income, because there are certain programs that, based on their income level, they could actually qualify for grants or for 0 down payment options. So the number one is income. So we talk about, we obtain copies of their most recent pay stubs. We talk about their length of employment. We look for at least 2 years in the same industry or schooling in the same type of industry. So say a nurse has just completed her nursing degree and is now working as a nurse full-time, something like that. So we can use schooling, engineering, we can use schooling as their
part of that 2-year.
Correct.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah, a lot of people think they have to work for 2 years on a job. That is not the case. If they have 2 years of employment or employment plus school.
Okay, fabulous. All right, and so you mentioned some cases where there could be 0% down. So can you talk about a couple of the different loan programs, maybe the FHA, the conventional loan, and the difference as far as what percentage they would need to put down?
Yes, so with the FHA program, these programs are through VHDA. There's a program called the FHA Plus VHDA. VHDA is Virginia Housing Development Authority. So these are for loans in Virginia. They are able, depending on credit score, debt ratio, income limit, there are programs available where they can purchase with no money down, which is a great option. And then on our conventional side, we have some wonderful programs with 3% down. And also grants towards closing costs, depending on, again, income level and credit scores, of course.
All right, and so talk about then the credit scores, and are there certain you have to hit a certain number in your credit score for the different percentages down that they're going to put? How does that work?
Yes. So with the VHDA FHA Plus, we're really looking at credit scores of 640 or higher. It's very difficult at the moment to get any loans done below a 640 in the industry as a whole. So 640 is the threshold there. With the conventional, we like to see it a little higher. There are programs available for 640 and higher, but the interest rates are very expensive, and the monthly mortgage insurance can be expensive. So again, I just counsel first-time buyers to really take time with the loan officer. Make sure you're working with the loan officer who has time to work with first-time buyers, because it is a process. It's the biggest purchase a person will ever make. Absolutely. So we like to take time with them and show them all of their options and find the best product to work for that particular buyer.
Okay, excellent. And I know you can work with someone if they come in and they really don't have great credit. So do you want to speak on that a little bit? What you encourage people to do if they've had a previous bankruptcy, or just they know their credit is not where it should be? What advice would you give to them?
So we have what we call our path to buy. And basically, if somebody has a credit issue in the past or has some bruised credit right now, we put them on a path to buy. We talk about what steps they need to take. We give them specific steps. If it's an employment issue, maybe they need to be on the job longer. if it's a situation on their credit report where maybe they just need to pay an account down to get their score up 20 more points, we can really guide them and get them on a path to homeownership.
Okay, that's
So
fabulous.
we really ask people not to be afraid to make that call, because people are afraid to see what's on their credit, but really knowing all the information is powerful.
Absolutely. And I think too, you shouldn't be ashamed of previous past mistakes. We all were young at one point, and when you start getting those first credit cards, it's real easy to get a little out of control. And so, it's a process to learn how to budget and how to make sure that you are staying on top of those payments and paying more than just the required payment each month too. So all those things I know you can help them work on, so to speak. Okay, so let's talk about, is there a certain amount in a savings account that someone ideally should have before maybe they'd be able to be approved in purchasing a home?
I really think right now the number one thing for a first-time buyer is savings. We are looking at not just 2 months bank statement. In some cases, we're asking for 4-month statements to see a pattern of savings. Ultimately, we prefer that they have 2 months payment in the bank. So depending on the sales price and loan amount that they're purchasing, whatever that monthly payment is, if it's $1,500 a month, we'd like to see over $3,000 that they have already saved. So that would not be a stimulus check or a tax refund or selling a car or something like that. We are looking for a pattern of savings because, again, they're going to start making a house payment. So we want to make sure that they are great at budgeting their money. So sometimes a buyer will come to me and not have that piece yet. So we talk about that and we talk about a plan to get there.
Okay. Fabulous. Okay. And then what about if maybe their parents were willing to co-sign with them? Do you see that often?
I do see that often. There are programs out there if parents would like to help their adult children purchase homes, or uncle or aunt, family member. There are risks and benefits to both. Of course, the risk is to the parents who are co-signing because they're ultimately liable if the child doesn't make the payment. And then in qualifying purposes, it hurts a first-time buyer from obtaining any of those grant programs or no down payment because unless their parents are also first-time buyers. But then it gets a little sticky because you have to get all of the income and they probably exceed the income limit. So there are some risks and rewards to that, but I definitely do loans where parents help their children co-sign.
Okay. And I get asked a lot too, like what closing costs are. I'm sure you get that question a lot. I would love for you to tap into that just a little bit with us.
Yeah, I mean, their closing costs can be very detailed. And, I could give you a round number or figure, but basically the costs involved with purchasing a home on the lender side, the borrower would get a closing cost estimate that would include appraisal fee, credit report fee, verification fees, any lender fees, if lender's charging any points or processing fees. We escrow for taxes, homeowner's insurance. You're going to see the settlement costs from the settlement agent or attorney handling the closing, and recording fees from the courthouse to record the documents. So what a first-time buyer really needs to have is a loan officer who will sit down and go line by line over the closing costs to give a full understanding, and then discuss what can the buyer contribute, if anything, towards closing costs, or do they need seller help to pay for the closing costs, which is allowable. It's a seller's market right now, so a lot of times our buyers are having to come out of pocket. So not having that surprise at the end, working with an experienced realtor who can counsel them on the market and a loan officer who can say these are the numbers before the offer is made, saves a lot of heartache and surprises.
Absolutely. Yes, we want people to be well informed on the front side of beginning this whole process, because there are a lot of pieces to it. But I know I appreciate you and how well you sit down with each of us and go over it line by line, and really know that you do that. So I highly recommend anybody that's considering purchasing a home to reach out to Lisa for sure. She's a big help. And one other just little tip that I would suggest that you also remember is when you have found a home, and you are under contract and you're working your way towards closing, just because you're 2 to 3 days out from that closing and you know the keys are about to be in your hand, that is not the time to go and have some type of furniture purchase and prep for your home. We understand you don't have a lot of furniture going in for the first time, but you've got to wait until after closing, after you literally have the keys in your hand, before you want to show anything else popping up on your credit, because that can disturb the process of being, you know, having this go through on your house. So we don't want you to lose that. So please, please, please do not go and make any big purchases until closing is signed, sealed, done, and you have the keys in your hand.
That is an important point to talk about up front, for sure.
Yeah, I always make sure that I am telling my buyers that. All right, Lisa, thank you so much for joining us today.
Anytime. I appreciate it.
Yeah, we will definitely come back with you and do additional videos. I just know there's so much information, and you really are a wealth of that information for us. So thank you very much. How can they reach out to you? What is your email address? We can also, you know, include that in our comments below the video, but why don't you go ahead and tell people how they can reach you?
Yes, so I have a website, lisawynkoop.com, LISAWYNKOOP.com, and they can send me a message or get my cell information from there.
Great. And you can find me on Facebook at Real Estate with Jennifer Stimson. You can email me at sjennifer@remax.net. And we hope that you will like this video. Would you share it with your friends? For any of my friends out there that are currently still renters, feel free to reach out to me or Lisa. We would love to assist you. The rates are really good right now, historically low, as Lisa has shared with us before. So it is a great time to start considering because the rates are down so much, your monthly payment may in fact be better than what you're paying in rent. So that just blows my mind. So if anybody out there has not looked into that on their own, feel free to give me a call, reach out to Lisa, and we would love to help you with that. But again, I'm Jennifer Stimson with Remax Alliance, the Steve Dahl team. Thank you for tuning in today. And until next time, bye-bye.
Bye.